It's been a whole month since you've been here, but the good news is that the weather has finally brought about some exuberant growth in the garden, especially here in my tropical bed. I've got ginger lilies with those spidery cockades of flower that brighten up the dullest corner. My cannas, the Indian shot, have gone ape, and banana plants going, well, bananas. But on the begonia front, the weather's proved just too much for them. I've been nurturing these beauties for the best part of 6 months for the National Begonia Society's show. This is Party Dress, a variety of unsurpassed vulgarity. It was my great white hope, or rather my great pink and yellow hope. It may look wonderful from the front, but when you look round the back of the flower, you can see the petals are beginning to fade. I had a problem common to many gardeners. I peaked too early. But the plants are wonderful. They're so weighed down with flowers, I've had to use bricks to stop the pots from falling over. And the individual blooms, well, I've held those up with these extending supports very kindly sent to me by an expert begonia grower. But it was all to no avail. I'm afraid these are not going to make it to the show. They're going to have to stay at home in the greenhouse. By way of consolation, Colin Nicklin, who's the secretary of the National Begonia Society, said it's been a tough year for everybody. And not to worry, there's always next year. I don't think so. So, in a change to the advertised programme, I let Colin and the experts take centre stage and whiz off up to Birmingham to discover the secrets of their success. It's 8 o'clock in the morning on Friday, the day before the show, and it's decision time for Colin Nicklin and his 100 begonias. It'll take all day to finish staking and supporting plants and preparing them for the perilous journey from Willington, near Derby, to Birmingham. His long-time gardening friend, Alec Caves, is there to give a hand.
There might be too many bad ones.
Well, I've got 8 varieties in the greenhouse. We're going in for this 9-pot class, Alec, and we've got to find these 6 varieties. Now, Roy Hartley will be one of these 6, I'm sure. Liz McLaughlin, I think that's another contender.
Yeah.
It's as big as I've seen Liz McLaughlin, that is. I've not seen it much bigger than that. We've got this Gay Gordon, but obviously this one wants dressing. I've not even touched this one yet at all.
No.
So that's a possibility. There's an Apricot Delight here which I've started dressing.
Oh, that's a beautiful plant.
So I think they're the contenders for the 9-pot. Right, we'll make a bit of room in here, Alex, so we can operate a little bit, I think. These have already been to a show, but I think we need to get rid of them out of the way. This flower here, look, Alec.
Yeah.
That one's in the middle of the plant. If we might be able to just thread that one through outside somehow.
Let's have a look at it. He'll come out this way, Colin.
If it breaks off, it breaks off. I mean, it's of no use there in any case, is it? That's it. Yeah, that's it. It might just make a bit of colour.
I think we can take this off and bring this one up. Yes?
Yeah, yeah, it's all right. I was wondering whether you could hide it.
I doubt you won't, that.
No, take it off then. I'm fast running out of supports, Alec. I was up till midnight last night making these. There's 50 yards of wire there. Took me about 3 hours to make that lot. I was watching television at the same time. So there's a few more spares there. I enjoy the competitive element of actually going to a show and taking people on and trying to beat them.
That was a good one.
It's not been the best of years, really, I don't think, for begonia. It's been patchy. But I know a lot of growers, they've gone over. Certainly down in the south, they've had no joy at all. And some people are up in the north, theirs have not come out.
Oh, they're thinning out nicely now, Colin.
I'm putting some supports under each flower head. And then obviously these supports, because they're just a single strip of wire, they're a bit too whoppy. So obviously they need some support themselves. So that's what we've got to put the little canes in for. If you put the canes right at the side of the pot, you're not usually doing any damage to the root system. And certainly not at this stage of the year, because I mean, in another fortnight's time, I mean, I should be letting them die down and go into dormancy. Because that's my next job when I come back from the show, is take all the flowers off, and that's it, job done. Season finished. Just check whether this wants any packing. Well, obviously that leaf's going to cut into that flower. And if you look at the edge of the leaf, it's just like a saw. And it'll grow over the period of 50 miles, it'll just rub into the petals on that flower and obviously cut it, so it'll ruin the flower. So what we've got to do is to pack it with some material. And I use a tailor's man-made fibre cotton wool because it's a lot. If you get the ordinary cotton wool, it's quite heavy and it sticks to the leaves and it leaves hairs all over the leaves, whereas this man-made fibre for some reason doesn't do that, and it's ever so soft. So what we do is just carefully pull the leaf away, push the cotton wool in, back it down, and that stops the leaf touching that flower now, so that won't get damaged at all. We've got the same problem here with this one. So this leaf is rubbing into there. So I think what we'll do with this one is we'll wrap it using toilet tissue, well-known brand. It's the softest of them all. I get through, on average, around about 12 rolls on this job. It is actually recyclable when I bring it back, but it is in short lengths. So we carefully wrap it round the back of the flower, trying not to damage the petals. Take it round, trap it with the leaf, put a little bit of cotton wool in there just to hold it in position, and job done. The hardest bit really with begonias is not the growing of them really, I think, it's the actual transporting of them to a show. If you're doing the big classes like I'm doing, you've got to have the proper rig. I mean, my rig cost me the best part of £2,000. It's a four-wheel trailer, a tonne and a half of sand in the bottom. The pots in the bottom are bedded into the sand so they don't fall over, but the sand also gives the trailer a good ride. And then the top deck, the plants just drop into an actual board, which is just dropped on some rails, and they travel well like that.
Kings Heath Park, home to BBC Gardeners World TV Gardens and the venue for the Gardeners Weekend event in Birmingham, where the National Begonia Society holds its annual show. It's Friday evening, and with 32 different classes to enter, begonia growers are arriving from all over the country to stage their exhibits. And looking at some of the plants they bring in, I'm rather glad I'm not competing. So what variety have we got here?
This is powder puff. Powder puff.
It looks more like a snowfall to me.
Yes, it does. Yeah, well, they're incredibly delicate things.
Do you want me to give you a hand taking it off?
If you break any, I should swear mine.
I promise to try on. My heart's in my mouth now, you know.
It should be. It should be.
My problem was timing, Lakin. They went over too quick. I pinched all the buds off 35 days for the show. So how do you get the timing right?
Well, you know, roughly a bud of, approximately that size will take between 30 and 40 days to be at its best.
Mine came out much faster, you see. 30 days I was taking the lock off.
It obviously is influenced by the weather. You get a hot spell and that'll hunt them on, and a cool one will retard them.
Mine aren't here.
Aren't they here?
No.
Why not?
Because I peaked early. They weren't quite as big as yours, I have to
Are
tell
they
you.
coming here?
No. I've given up.
Is that
on
why
them.
you're depressed?
That's why I'm depressed. I mean, look at me. I'm a broken man.
Well, there you are.
I may never work again. Look at that. Don't break it. Oh, look. Mine were not as big as that.
No.
I mean, you've got to admire them. I mean, look at that. Like cabbages.
Really?
I mean, you could serve 3 people in a restaurant with one of those. There's no sign of any cotton wool here, only polystyrene plates. Do you get enough protection from them?
You take your bud and you put the plate behind and a stay, and then as it grows beyond the plate, so the leaves don't touch it at all, so there's no damage on the back of the plant.
So this isn't just for transportation,
No,
they grow
they
like
grow like this, yeah. If you're growing cut blooms, this is the way to grow it, and then it's got no damage at all on the back.
And you can lay them flat in these supports on the table?
If you want to, yeah. These have been transported like this because I came early this morning. They'll be cut later on tonight, so they're as fresh as they can be.
Well, I've heard of begonias as big as dinner plates, but I've never seen them before. What do you feed them with?
I've used all sorts of proprietary feeds. I mean, like early part of the year, use something with a bit more nitrogen in,
But then you ease off the nitrogen at this time.
Yes. And
What sort of compost?
this is a John Innes type.
Yeah.
Made to I mix my own compost.
You see, they're all very secretive, aren't they?
No,
really?
no,
They're
no.
very vague in what they tell you.
No secret at all. There's nothing. I tell
Well,
you,
you're not telling me.
a John Innes Type 2.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 20, 30. Graham, everybody else here's got about 6 or 8 pots. You've got loads. What's this for then?
This is a group class, class 1, 8 foot by 4 foot display of begonias.
And how many plants have you brought?
About 69 plants, and then I've bought ferns as well.
If you're bringing 69, how many have you grown at home?
About 150, something like that. Plants. And then I've got my cuttings on top of that.
On top of that? Just tell me missus I need a new greenhouse. 8 o'clock on Friday night, and Colin Nickling's just arrived from Derby. What sort of state are they going to be in?
I don't look.
Cool. Oh, doesn't it make mine look pathetic? Well, they've all stood their ground in that sand.
They are my own private beach. Ton and a half of sand in there to make the suspension work.
How many plants did you end up bringing?
There's 22 plants in there in total, plus, yes, 22 plants in total.
And how much do each of them weigh?
Around about 2 stone.
That's huge. So how long have you got to get them staged then, Colin?
Well, it'll probably take me till 2, 3 o'clock tonight to get them into the actual positions, and then obviously I've got to get them in levels, put the covering, satin covering over so you can't see my blocks. If you look at other exhibitors, you can see the blocks. I like to cover my blocks up so they can't see it.
Satin.
Satin. And then you've got to make sure that you get every little bit of cotton wool out, because if you leave a little bit of cotton wool in, NAS. Not according to
schedule.
Correct.
The 3 letters they all dread.
It's a long way to bring your plants and be NAS.
Go on then, I'll let you get started.
Right, thank you.
Best of luck.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Master begonia growers have a long time to wait for their just rewards. Their colourful blooms have to withstand the scrutiny of the judges and then 2 days of the admiring public. But plants will always win prizes.
This is the end of the show as far as I'm concerned. This year I've managed a second. I'm quite pleased I've got them here, but I've been well and truly annihilated. Must have been 50 or 60 people have asked where Alan's plant was, but it really has done the show well, and it was absolutely packed all day, the show has. Been really marvellous, and I hope he repeats it again next year.
I feel quite left out of it now. Back in January 1999, Gardeners World began a collaboration with 3 of the UK's leading design teams at the brand new Wildfowl and Wetlands Trust Centre in London. Long before Arne Maynard won the prize for Best Garden at this year's Chelsea Flower Show, Gay Search was following his progress at this important site.
One essential requirement of any environmentally sound garden is that it should also be wildlife friendly. Here, at the Wildfowl and Wetlands Trust's new centre in Barnes, southwest London, designer Arne Maynard was given this site, and he was asked to create a garden with the emphasis very firmly on wetlands diversity.
A very wet site was really to demonstrate to people how they could create a garden in those conditions around the wet, boggy soil and create habitats for animals, because there are so many animals there and insects, and so have that as your basis for your design.
For many garden designers, their own plot is also their laboratory where they try out ideas and hone their skills. Arne's garden is deep in rural Lincolnshire.
One of the biggest influences for my style of gardens is the 17th century, the Dutch. There's a lot of structure, but it's simple.
I can't help notice that the formality within your own garden here is absolutely razor sharp. Is that vital?
Yeah, the things that I call backbone formality, that has to be really precise. The planting is the informality, and it's like a positive negative. It's a sort of an energy that flows between the two, and for that reason your formality has to be precise. In my view, a garden needs to look really great in the winter. On the dullest day, it's got to look good. There's got to be structure. You've got your hedges and your walls and your paths and your topiary trees, and they're the things that are there all of the year in the winter. And then you can infill with all your planting afterwards. This is the knot garden that I put in. I wanted this garden to have a feeling of winter mystique. It's a wonderful space to come and sit in September, or even, you know, Christmas Day you can come and sit on the bench if the sun's out. It has the formal layout of a classical garden, but I wanted to create a different type of planting within this garden that hasn't been done before. From the house, I wanted to be able to see something that didn't interfere with the landscape that's beyond. It's all cornfields beyond, and I wanted to merge this very gently into the landscape. So my original idea was to have a corn parterre with cut paths between, and, oops, I'll go this way, you go that way. Can't tread on the long grass. Anyway, I set it out in the grass with a mower and decided actually it looked rather good just as grass. It's a buffer zone in the garden.
What about the issues of biodiversity and sustainability in gardens? Was it something that you'd thought about in your work before?
I don't think, with my own garden, I don't think I thought about it at all. I think it's something that happens naturally anyway, but it wasn't a conscious thing that I was thinking about.
When they approached you and asked you if you'd like to be part of this project, what were your initial thoughts?
I couldn't quite work out how I would be able to put across my sense of the way I design, which is in quite a formal way, into such a natural environment. But once I started to go through the thoughts a little bit more, then I realised that it's quite nice to mix very natural environments with formality. My idea for the space there was, if one imagines a pool of water and you throw a pebble into it, then you're getting the ripple effect. So we've got these concentric rings that get bigger as they go towards the outside of the plot.
Given the overall nature of the site here at the Wetlands Centre, Arne has to create formality in rather different ways.
What we're creating here are ripples in blocks of walling, and these walls are going to be constructed out of oak timber logs.
Right. The curving walls provide Arne's characteristic structural formality, but the logs and turf from which they're made give an unconventional and biodegradable twist. The walls will soften as they rot down, attracting a wide variety of squatters.
What we're trying to create here with this wall is a living habitat, a sort of animal hotel for all of the frogs and toads and newts and all the animals that will need to overwinter. You've got the penthouses at the top, and there's a couple of duplexes, and so they've got the whole choice of what they want. There's enough accommodation for whole WWT here.
Well, the hard landscaping in Arne's garden is practically finished, but as yet, no plants.
All of the plants that we're going to use here are plants that their natural habitat would be wet water meadow. It has a formal structure, but the planting is going to be very wild. I want it to feel that you walk into silver birch, coppice wood, and that's the sunny epicentre of the garden.
1 year on, the garden has already taken on the feeling of a woodland glade. And what about the hotels? Any customers yet?
Have a look here. Look, it looks as though...
Spider's nest.
Spider's nest and things, but I think it looks as though here something started to build a nest, or maybe last year a little mouse nest or something.
Yes.
Here you can see where things have been starting to eat away at the wood,
Yeah.
which that's all fine, it doesn't matter. This is all here so that if it decays and in 10 years' time it's a composty old pile of logs, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all part of what this garden is supposed to be. Some of the walls we planted turf on top, and it's log construction below, but it's turf on top. And I did notice some mice going in and out of the turf.
Right.
So again, that creates very much a different habitat, and it's protecting the wood as well. So it'll be a much drier habitat in the winter than the ones that are just the log walls. So put that back.
You've got a slightly difficult site here, perhaps the most difficult of the three in some ways, in that it was the boggiest. Has that given you problems with some of the planting?
The silver birch that I thought would do really well in these wet conditions is normally in their natural habitat. I mean, they grow in very dry conditions, but you also see them right on the edge of water. The trees that we bought in, they were quite large. We wanted to have more of an instant effect with this garden. they haven't done as well as I thought. So what we've done now is we've put in a lot of smaller trees, which I think actually is a better thing to do because it's giving much more of a natural appearance to the whole site. And every year, if we put half a dozen or a dozen new year-old sapling trees in, we're going to then end up having a variety of sizes, which will give it much more of a feeling of a natural wood. The plants that I think have probably succeeded best are the grasses and the sanguisorbas, which have been flowering from June all the way through.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible.
It's a lovely colour, isn't it?
It's really nice. They're sort of these wonderful, intense, deep, mauvey red buttons that just, when they're really new and fresh, they're incredibly vibrant, and then they go to this wonderful browny, chocolatey colour, and they go really well with the grasses.
Yeah.
And they don't block the view, they're sort of transparent, and the grasses become transparent. So they've done really well out of those plants. And there's a lot of plants that we haven't planted that have just come into the site from everywhere around, and it's a nice marriage, really, of what we've planted and all of the edging along the front here, which is the natural plants from the site.
Yeah. Do you think the experience of having made this garden will affect the way you work in future?
I think any garden you do has an effect. I mean, any way that you garden yourself has an effect. Everything is an experience, and I certainly learnt from this one that it's wonderful being able to just use nature in the way that we had the water here. We didn't try to manipulate the water, we didn't try to divert it or increase the levels, we just worked with what was here. And so often when you go into gardens and you're rebuilding, it's so easy to change so many things, and I think that that's probably a really good lesson here, is that it was really wonderful working with the basic ingredients of the site and making something special out of a site that a lot of people thought, golly, what on earth are you going to do here? It's so wet, you can't plant anything. And it was a real challenge to be able to come up with something and to use it to its full advantage.
Coming up next on UK TV Gardens, Neil Oliver goes looking for the blue suede shoes of Elvis Presley in Coast. That's followed at 11 by a double bill of Birding with Bill Oddie, venturing deep into the heart of the capital city. And then at noon, it's me with another Model Gardens. See you then.